Elira stood at the edge of the large glass window inside the Earth Alliance station. The spaceport was alive with human voices, announcements in different languages, and the sound of machinery working endlessly. From this high platform, she could see Earth below. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents. The planet looked alive in a way she had never seen before. It was noisy, messy, and restless. Her own world, Aria, was quiet. It had cities built with clean lines, rules that ordered every street and silence in every hall. On Aria, no one shouted in public, no one rushed. But here on Earth, people ran in every direction, talking loudly, laughing, and arguing. Elira's silver eyes narrowed. She was not here by choice. Her leaders had signed a peace treaty with humans after years of small disputes along the borders. To strengthen that peace, ambassadors like her were assigned to live and work with human companions. The humans called it a partnership program. To Elira, it felt like being claimed. She pulled her cloak tighter around her tall frame. The humans around her gave curious glances, whispering when they thought she could not hear. Her skin shimmered faintly under the station lights, a natural glow of her species. On Aria, such glow was normal. Here, it made her stand out. The thought troubled her. She did not want to be a display, a symbol, or a lesson for humans to study. She was here because she was ordered, not because she wanted to be, and she promised herself. She would resist every attempt to make her bond with a human. A voice broke her thoughts. Ambassador Elira? She turned. A man stood a few steps away. He wore a simple gray suit, not a soldier's uniform. He had dark hair, warm brown eyes, and an expression that tried to look calm but carried a trace of nervousness. "I am Dr. Marcus Hale," he said, offering a polite bow of the head. "I've been assigned as your companion and cultural partner during your stay." Elira studied him in silence. He looked ordinary, fragile compared to her people. No armor, no power in his hands, just a human. She expected someone with authority, a soldier, or a leader. Instead, she received a quiet scientist. "I do not need a companion," she replied coolly. Her voice was calm but sharp. "I am here to represent my people, not to be guided like a child." Marcus did not flinch. His voice remained steady. "Of course, Ambassador. My role is not to command you. I am here to assist, to explain Earth's customs, and to make sure you feel safe. Nothing more." His calm tone unsettled her. She expected him to argue, to insist, or to remind her of the treaty rules. But he simply stood there, patient, waiting. She frowned. "Your leaders believe I cannot walk your world without help?" Marcus shook his head. "Not help, partnership. You may teach me as much as I teach you. The idea is to learn from each other." Elira turned back to the window, ending the conversation. She did not want to admit that his words carried a quiet weight. The following days were full of formal meetings. Elira attended conferences with human officials, scientists, and cultural leaders. She spoke in her clear, melodic voice about the treaty, about shared knowledge, about the future of peace. But always, Marcus was there. He sat quietly at the side, taking notes, ready to explain when humans used terms she did not understand. He never pushed himself forward, never interrupted her, but his presence followed her like a shadow. One afternoon, after a long meeting about energy trade, Marcus invited her to walk through the Earth Gardens outside the station. "These gardens are built with plants from across the planet," he explained as they walked among green leaves and bright flowers. "Each section represents a different region of Earth." Elira glanced around. The air was rich with scents, sweet, sharp, earthy. She did not like how it filled her senses. On Aria, gardens were orderly and quiet, with one type of plant carefully arranged in straight rows. Here, flowers of different colors grew together, birds sang loudly, and humans strolled without order. "Chaotic," she said simply. Marcus gave a small smile. "Perhaps, but sometimes chaos is what makes life beautiful." Elira turned her eyes on him. Beauty requires harmony, not disorder. He nodded thoughtfully, not arguing. That is one way to see it. But on Earth, harmony often comes from difference, not sameness. She said nothing. Part of her wanted to dismiss his words, but another part of her could not deny that the garden, messy as it was, held a strange kind of charm. Days passed. Elira began noticing little things about humans. They laughed often, even in serious times. They shared food freely with strangers. They sang songs in gatherings, their voices not always perfect but full of life. Her people did not do these things. To her, it seemed childish. And yet, she could not ignore how it brought humans closer to each other. Still, she kept her distance. Whenever Marcus offered something, an Earth meal, a human story, a visit to a cultural site, she answered coldly. She wanted him to know she could not be softened. One evening, during a cultural forum, Elira spoke sharply about humanity. "Your people are reckless," she declared before the audience. "You rush into ventures without thought, you change your minds with the wind, and you allow disorder to guide you. On Arya, such behavior would be shameful." The hall grew silent. Some humans shifted uncomfortably. Marcus was seated near her. Elira expected him to defend his people with pride, maybe even anger. Instead, Marcus stood slowly and spoke calmly. "Ambassador Elira is right in some ways. Humanity is not perfect. We are restless and we make mistakes. But those mistakes teach us. Our change is what keeps us alive. Where others see chaos, we see progress." His words were not loud, but they reached everyone in the room. Some humans nodded. Elira stared at him, unsettled again. He did not raise his voice. He did not attack her. And he did not defend blindly. He admitted weakness and still spoke with quiet strength. After the forum, as they walked back through the station corridors, Elira asked, "Why did you not argue with me? Most of your kind would have shouted." Marcus gave a small shrug. "Because shouting does not change hearts. Listening does." Elira looked away. His answer left her uneasy. That night, as she sat by the window of her assigned quarters, Elira looked down at Earth again. The planet was still noisy, still restless, still chaotic. But she remembered Marcus's words, harmony from difference. She shook her head. "I will not be claimed by a human," she whispered to herself. But deep inside, she wondered if resisting would be as simple as she had promised. The next morning, Elira entered the council chamber with her usual graceful step. The tall glass walls of the Earth Alliance station allowed sunlight to stream in, bright and warm. Human leaders and Arya's envoys sat together around a wide circular table. Discussions had been tense for days. Trade routes, shared research, and border patrols were all delicate matters. Elira was calm in the talks. Her people trained diplomats carefully, teaching them how to hold their words like sharp blades. Yet she noticed something odd. Humans argued differently. They raised their voices, interrupted each other, and waved their hands when they spoke. At first, Elira thought it was undisciplined, but slowly she realized something else. They were not being disrespectful. They were simply showing passion. She kept her face composed, refusing to let that small discovery soften her opinion. Marcus sat quietly as usual, scribbling notes beside her. When a human general spoke about joint defense patrols, Marcus leaned closer and whispered softly, "They are worried about pirates near the outer belts. That is why they insist on shared patrols." Elira gave him a short glance. She did not need his explanation, yet his tone was not controlling, only helpful, as though he wanted her to succeed. She turned her gaze back to the table, ignoring the small warmth that rose in her chest. After the meeting, Marcus suggested visiting the lower station levels. "You've seen officials and leaders," he said, "but you haven't seen ordinary humans yet. I think it may help you understand us better." Elira folded her arms. "I understand enough. You are restless, noisy, and impulsive." Marcus smiled faintly. "Maybe. But come with me. Judge with your own eyes, not with words. She wanted to refuse. Yet curiosity, against her will, pulled at her. With a nod that was sharper than intended, she followed him. They entered a wide marketplace inside the station. Stalls were filled with food, clothes, and small machines. Bright lights flickered, and voices of humans speaking many languages blended together in a constant hum. Children laughed as they ran between stalls. Musicians played simple instruments, filling the air with cheerful tunes. Elira stood stiff, her silver eyes scanning everything. On Aria, marketplaces were silent. Goods were displayed in neat order, and buyers walked in quiet lines. Here, humans bargained loudly, joked with sellers, and tasted food before buying. It was disorder everywhere. Marcus watched her carefully. "What do you see?" "Chaos," she said quickly. "No discipline, no respect for order." "Look closer," Marcus suggested gently. She frowned but obeyed. Her eyes landed on a group of children sharing sweet bread. One child broke his piece into 2 halves and handed 1 half to a stranger child, smiling. At another stall, a seller lowered her price when she saw a poor family struggling. 2 workers, tired from unloading crates, laughed loudly together and clapped each other on the shoulders. It was not order, but it was connection. Humans were messy, but they seemed to find joy inside the mess. Elira said nothing, but her thoughts grew restless. Later that evening, Marcus invited her to join. The days on the Earth Alliance station passed quickly, filled with endless discussions and cultural exchanges. For Elira, every meeting was a test of patience. She still kept her distance from Marcus, answering his gentle questions with short replies and refusing most of his invitations. Yet whether she wanted to admit it or not, his quiet presence had begun to settle into her routine. She expected peace talks to be the greatest challenge of her mission, but one morning, news reached the council that shook both humans and Illyrans alike. A small cargo ship had vanished on its way to the station. No distress call, no signal, just silence. The council gathered in urgency. Around the great table, human generals leaned forward with serious faces, and Illyran envoys whispered in low voices. "This is no accident," a human admiral said firmly. The ship's path was secure. For it to vanish without warning means interference. One of Illyra's fellow envoys raised a sharp brow. "Are you suggesting sabotage?" The admiral's jaw tightened. "We are suggesting the possibility must be studied." Elira listened carefully, her silver eyes narrowing. She could sense the tension rising quickly. Humans feared betrayal. Her people feared the same. Trust was still fragile, and now shadows had entered their fragile peace. Later that day, Elira returned to her quarters, her thoughts heavy. Marcus was already waiting outside her door, holding a data tablet. "I wanted to speak with you," he said politely. Elira folded her arms. "I do not need explanations." "Not explanations," Marcus said gently. "Information." He handed her the tablet. On it were records of the missing ship, its cargo, its crew, its path. Elira scanned the data quickly. The ship had carried rare minerals meant for a joint project between Earth and Aria. "Why give this to me?" she asked sharply. "Because," Marcus said, his voice calm but steady, "there will be rumors. Some will say humans were responsible. Others will say, Illyrans were? I don't want you to hear half-truths. I want you to see the facts." Elira studied his face. He looked tired but determined. His words carried no trick, no attempt to persuade her, only honesty. Still, suspicion stirred in her. "And how do I know you are not hiding something from me?" Marcus gave a small sigh. "You don't. Not yet. But if peace is to mean anything, then one of us has to take the first step of trust." His words stayed with her even after he left. Trust. A word so simple, yet so heavy. Over the next week, more disturbances appeared. A communication relay on the edge of human space went offline. Then, a small Illyran patrol ship reported strange signals before disappearing completely. Every new report fed suspicion. In the council, Human generals eyed Illyran envoys with cold stares. Illyran envoys returned the looks with equal doubt. One evening, during a heated meeting, voices rose sharply. Your people control that region of space. A human officer, accused. How do we know you are not behind this? And how do we know your people do not create these accidents to weaken us? An Illyran envoy shot back. Illyra sat still, watching both sides carefully. Her heart was heavy. This was how peace broke, not with weapons but with suspicion. Marcus, seated beside her, leaned close and whispered, "If this continues, everything will collapse." Illyra's silver eyes met his. For the first time, she felt the same fear he did. The next day, Illyra was asked to inspect a damaged beacon near the border. The council wanted both an Illyran and a human presence to avoid accusations. To her displeasure, Marcus was assigned as her partner. "You will need my help with the human systems," he said simply. Illyra raised her chin. "I will not slow down for you," he smiled faintly. "And I will not let you face this alone." They boarded a small shuttle and set course for the beacon. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent and cold. Inside the shuttle, the air was tense. Illyra worked at the controls, her hands moving smoothly, while Marcus sat beside her, checking readings. After a long silence, Marcus spoke. "I know you still doubt me." "I doubt all humans," Illyra replied quickly. Marcus looked out at the stars. "That's fair. But doubt is only useful if it does not blind us. If we let it, doubt becomes another chain." Illyra's hands paused, for a moment. His words reminded her of something her own teachers had once said long ago. She pushed the memory aside and focused on the screen. Suddenly, alarms flashed red. The shuttle jolted violently. Systems began to shut down one by one. "What is happening?" Illyra demanded, gripping the console. "Something is jamming us," Marcus said, fingers flying over the controls. "Not human signals, not Illyran either. Something else." The shuttle shook again, then drifted into silence as power faded. Illyra's chest tightened. Without power, they would soon be stranded. She looked at Marcus, expecting panic, but his face was calm, focused, steady. "Manual override," he said. "We still have emergency reserves. I'll handle the stabilizers. You, take navigation." For a moment, Illyra hesitated. She had worked with her own people many times, but never with a human in such danger. Yet there was no time for pride. She moved to the navigation system, her hands steady. Together, they fought to bring life back to the shuttle. Sparks flew, the lights flickered, and slowly systems began to return. Finally, the engines roared softly again, and the shuttle steadied. Illyra exhaled, her shoulders relaxing. She turned to Marcus. "You risked much. You could have lost control completely." Marcus gave a small smile. "I trusted you to handle your part." Her silver eyes studied him carefully. For the first time, she felt a strange pull of respect. He had not tried to control her, not tried to claim the task alone. He had trusted her as an equal. When they reached the beacon, the mystery only deepened. The device had been torn apart, not by human hands, not by Illyran tools, but by something unknown. The circuits were melted, and strange energy marks were burned into the metal. Illyra crouched beside the wreckage, running her slender fingers over the marks. "This is not ours," she said quietly. Marcus nodded. "And not ours either. Which means someone else is trying to set us against each other." Their eyes met, and in that moment they understood the same truth. A hidden enemy was working in the shadows, one who wanted peace to fail. The journey back to the station was silent, but it was no longer the silence of distrust. Instead, it was the silence of two minds carrying the same heavy knowledge. As the shuttle landed, Illyra turned to Marcus. "We must speak carefully," she said. "If we tell the council without proof, they will not believe us. They will think we only protect our own people." Marcus nodded. "Then we find the proof together." Illyra's eyes lingered on him a moment longer. She still felt her old vow echo in her heart. I will not be claimed by a human. But the words felt weaker now, less certain. For the first time since her arrival, she did not see Marcus as an unwanted companion. She saw him as a partner, and deep within her a new thought formed, quiet but strong. Perhaps trust was not a chain after all. Perhaps it was a bridge. The Earth Alliance station was never quiet. Even at night, lights glowed in the halls and voices echoed faintly through the wide metal corridors. But after the discovery at the broken beacon, the noise seemed heavier, filled with suspicion. News spread quickly. Humans whispered that the Illyrians might be hiding the truth. Illyrians murmured that humans might be inventing lies. The council grew sharper with every meeting. Illyra felt the weight of it every day. She had seen the strange marks on the beacon. She knew, as Marcus knew, that a third force was at work. But without proof, their words were only air. On the 7th, day after the beacon mission, a new presence arrived at the station. Captain Elias Ward. Illyra first saw him in the council chamber. He entered with steady steps, his uniform neat, his posture strong. His hair was cut short, his shoulders broad, and his eyes sharp like steel. Unlike Marcus, who blended quietly into the background, Elias seemed to carry authority in every movement. The human generals greeted him with respect. Captain Ward, one of them said, you are to lead the security teams here on the station. With tensions rising, we need discipline and protection. Elias gave a crisp nod. His voice was low but firm and understood. I will see that both humans and Illyrians are safe. Illyra studied him. He was everything her people respected in a warrior. Firm, disciplined, and direct. He reminded her of the guardians of Arya who stood at the gates of their cities. Silent, but unshakable. When Elias's gaze briefly met hers, he inclined his head politely, neither too low nor too high. It was the gesture of one who acknowledged her without bowing. That small detail made her respect him instantly. Later, when the council dismissed, Illyra walked with Marcus down the corridor. He carried his tablet, as always, while she moved, gracefully beside him. You do not speak of the new soldier, Marcus said after a pause. Illyra lifted her chin slightly. He is different from you. Strong, disciplined, and proud. My people respect such qualities. Marcus glanced at her, his expression unreadable. Strength is important, but strength without patience can become danger. Illyra stopped, turning to face him. And patience without strength becomes weakness. For a moment, their eyes held each other's. Marcus did not argue further. He only nodded slowly and continued walking. Illyra followed, but her thoughts remained restless. The following day, Illyra was invited to observe a training session led by Captain Elias. Curious, she attended. The training hall was wide, filled with humans in uniform practicing drills. Elias stood before them, giving sharp commands. The Earth Alliance station was unusually quiet that morning. Usually the corridors buzzed with human voices, the hum of machinery, and the chatter of visiting Illyrians. But today, the silence felt tense, heavy, like the calm before a storm. Illyra moved through the halls, her silver eyes alert. Marcus walked beside her, tablet in hand, scanning data from the outer patrols. Captain Elias followed behind, his presence steady, his gaze sweeping the station for any sign of trouble. They had been called together by the council after another series of strange incidents. 2 more cargo ships had reported strange energy, bursts near the border, and satellites detected unknown objects in patrol space. The evidence was clear. This was no accident. In the council chamber, the human and Illyrian leaders waited. Elias stood firm, Marcus calm, and Illyra at the center, feeling the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. An Illyrian envoy began. The incidents are not caused by humans. They cannot be. The energy traces are foreign. Our scientists confirm it. A human admiral responded. Our initial scans show the same. But until we identify the source, suspicion remains. We must be cautious. Elira's silver eyes scanned the room. She felt frustration rise. Both sides were too quick to doubt each other, and that doubt could destroy the fragile peace they had worked so hard to achieve. Marcus stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. The signs point to a third party, someone who wants to create mistrust between our peoples. If we continue blaming each other, we will miss the real enemy. Elias's gaze flicked to Marcus. Do you have proof? Marcus nodded, showing data on his tablet. The energy signatures matched patterns that neither human nor Illyran technology could produce. These marks are deliberate, he said. They are designed to look like one of our own, to start conflicts. The council fell silent. The evidence was undeniable. Illyra rose, her voice carrying the authority of her people. Then we must act together. There is no time for suspicion. Whoever this enemy is, they seek to destroy the peace we have built. We cannot allow it. The next hours were filled with planning. Illyra, Marcus, and Elias formed a small team tasked with tracking the source of the disturbances. Marcus focused on the science, analyzing energy signatures, predicting the enemy's movements. Elias prepared security measures, training soldiers, and organizing patrols. Illyra coordinated between both sides, using her diplomatic insight to ensure neither humans nor Illyrans acted rashly. At first, the cooperation was difficult. Illyra struggled to balance Marcus's patience with Elias's strength. Marcus wanted careful study before action. Elias wanted immediate response, and Illyra had to listen to both, mediate, and make decisions that would keep everyone safe. Yet, slowly, the three found a rhythm. Marcus explained the patterns of energy bursts. Elias prepared guards to respond if the enemy struck. And Illyra guided their strategy, predicting how each side would react, bridging the gap between strength and patience. A day later, their work paid off. Satellite readings showed a hidden fleet entering the outer patrol zone. The ships were unlike anything either humans or Illyrans had seen. Sleek, dark, and silent, they moved with purpose. This is it, Elias said, his voice low but commanding. This is the enemy. Illyra studied the images carefully. They are advanced, she said. Far beyond what we expected. If they reach the station, damage will be severe. Marcus leaned over the data. They are scanning us. They want to see our response. We must act smart, not fast. Any wrong move could trigger a fight between our peoples. Elias nodded, understanding the danger. Then we combine our strengths. We strike strategically, not recklessly. The team decided on a plan. Marcus would analyze the energy patterns and guide their defenses. Elias would lead a security team to intercept any immediate threat. Illyra would coordinate both sides, ensuring communication stayed clear and preventing panic. As they prepared, Illyra felt a strange mixture of tension and excitement. She had faced challenges before, but this was different. This was not just about rules or protocols. This was about trust. Trust in Marcus, trust in Elias, trust in both human and Illyran people. And for the first time, she realized that her vow to resist humans no longer mattered. This was bigger than pride. When the first enemy ship entered the patrol zone, alarms rang across the station. Lights flashed red. Soldiers moved quickly, guided by Elias's firm commands. Illyra, Marcus, and Elias worked together seamlessly. Marcus's tablet beeped continuously, displaying energy readings and predicted enemy movements. Elias directed soldiers, ensuring that every response was precise, and Illyra coordinated communication, making sure both humans and Illyrans acted as one. The enemy fleet advanced cautiously, but the team's strategy was effective. Sensors and shields tracked every movement. For hours, the battle of wits and skill continued. During a tense moment, an enemy drone approached the station undetected. Marcus called out, "Illyra, shield modulation, now!" Illyra adjusted the station's defense controls, following Marcus's directions precisely. A bright pulse of energy hit the drone, disabling it instantly. Elias's soldiers moved to secure the area, and the station remained safe. After hours of coordination, the enemy ships retreated. They had tested the station, probing for weaknesses, but the combined strategy of patience, strength, and guidance had held them back. Elira, standing in the observation deck, finally allowed herself a deep breath. Marcus joined her quietly, not speaking, but sharing the relief. Then Elias appeared, his strong presence reassuring and calm. "Today we survived because we worked together," Elira said softly. Elias nodded. "And because we did not allow fear or pride to guide us." Marcus smiled faintly. "And because we listened to each other." Elira looked at the two humans. For the first time, she truly understood something important about humanity. Strength comes in many forms. Discipline and courage, yes, but also patience, trust, and understanding. The days after the encounter were filled with repair and analysis. Every damage point was studied. Every pattern of enemy movement was logged. And slowly, Elira, Marcus, and Elias grew closer, bound by shared purpose. Elira realized something new. Marcus had been teaching her without words, showing her that patience could be powerful. Elias had been showing her that strength could protect and that discipline was necessary. Together, they formed a balance she had never seen in her people. One evening, she walked the quiet station halls with Marcus. "I see now," she said quietly, "that humans are not simple. I judged too quickly." Marcus nodded. "We are not perfect, but we try. And when we work together, we can do more than we imagine." Elira paused, looking at the stars beyond the station. "Perhaps I was wrong to resist. Perhaps I should have learned sooner." Marcus smiled softly. "Learning takes time. What matters is that you are learning now." The enemy threat had been pushed back, but Elira knew it was not over. Someone, somewhere, was still watching, still testing, still waiting. But she felt different now. She no longer faced these challenges alone. Marcus's calm guidance and Elias's unwavering strength gave her confidence. She stood on the observation deck one last time that night, looking at the vast stars of space. The station was alive again. Humans and Elirans moved together, their cooperation stronger than before. For the first time since she arrived, Elira felt a sense of hope. She understood that true strength was not about resisting others or holding power over them. True strength was about trust, courage, and the choice to stand together. And now, she was ready. The Earth Alliance station had never felt so alive. The corridors hummed with energy as humans and Elirans worked side by side, repairing damaged systems and analyzing the strange energy traces left by the enemy. For the first time in weeks, there was no panic, only purpose. Elira walked along the wide metal halls, her silver eyes taking in the activity. Soldiers moved with precision, scientists debated softly over data, and children of both species played in designated areas. The chaos of life on Earth now felt alive, not reckless. She realized she had begun to understand it, not as weakness, but as vitality. Marcus walked beside her, carrying his usual tablet. He had spent hours analyzing energy patterns from the enemy fleet, looking for clues that could prevent future attacks. His calm presence was comforting, and Elira felt a strange ease walking beside him. "Do you see it now?" Marcus asked quietly, glancing at her. "See what?" Elira replied, her tone even. "Why humans do what they do. Why they argue. Why they laugh, why they rush. It is not recklessness, it is life, it is learning, it is resilience." Elira studied him for a moment. His words were soft, but they carried truth. Slowly, she nodded. "Perhaps I was wrong to judge so quickly. Your people. They are more than I thought." Marcus smiled faintly. "We all are if we are willing to see ourselves clearly." The calm was short-lived. A warning signal flashed on the observation deck. Another unknown fleet had appeared near the outer patrol zone. Though smaller than the previous force, its approach was deliberate. Elira, Marcus, and Captain Elias gathered immediately. The three had become a team, each aware of the other's strengths. Marcus analyzed data and predicted the fleet's movements. Elias organized security and prepared defenses. Elira coordinated communications between humans and Elirans, ensuring clear and calm instructions. "This is the final test," Elias said quietly. "We must act together to protect everyone."